Hey guys, how you doing? It's Ron Raymond here from the Raymond Report with your baseball report today for Monday, April 14th. Hope you're having yourself a good start to your Cash Out Monday. As always, don't forget, subscribe to our channel by tapping that notification bell in the top right-hand corner or hit the subscribe button below this video if you're using a mobile device. Also, if you're interested in a free one-week membership right here at atsstats.com, click the link in the description. It's going to take you to a registration form. Fill it out, no strings attached, no credit card required, and you will get a free one-week membership, and I'll talk about that at the end of this video. All right, we're going to take a look at all the baseball games today, give you a little bit some tips and some information on each game, so this way you can go in knowing some good information on the game, and if there's any value or if the percentage plays are in your favor. Now, in game number one, the Pirates a 220 favorite. And, man, they're very overvalued in this spot. In fact, I had the Pirates at minus 135 on my value index. And you can see here on the VI, 135. And you're getting 220. That's because you got their ace on the mound, Paul Skeens. But you know what? Hey, great pitcher. But the team behind him, what's hurting Paul Skeens sometimes is the bullpen, right? He'll get the team into the 5th, 6th inning with a lead or a tied. And then the bullpen, for whatever reason, can't hold that lead, right? But looking at Paul Skeens on the year, 1-1, a 3.44 ERA. He's up against Brad Lord of the Washington Nationals. Now, the Nationals 6-9 on the season. Their last 7 games have gone over the total, while the last 4 games for Pittsburgh have gone under. They're riding a 3-game losing streak. They're coming off a 4-0 loss to the Bucks, or the Cincinnati Reds. They are the Bucks. And yeah, so not a good start for the Bucks this year. 5-11 on the season, and you're getting a very hyperinflation right here on the Paul Skeens and the Pittsburgh Pirates, minus 220. I think they're the right play, though. I think they're the right play. When you look at Washington, they're 1-5 on the road this season. They're 5-4 at home. Where Pittsburgh have only played 6 games at home this year. They're 3-3. They've had 10 games on the road where they're 2-8. I think the Bucks are the play in this one here today. Let's go with Paul Skeens over Brad Lord. All right, let's go to a good one here between San Francisco and the Philadelphia Phillies. Now, hey, don't look at the record now, but the San Francisco Giants are 11-4 straight up on the season, while the Philadelphia Phillies are 9-6. So you're saying, okay, Ron, why is the team that is 11-4 the underdog in this spot? Well, if you look at the wins of the San Francisco Giants, now they've played 15 games. 10 of those 15 games have been against teams with a losing record or 50% or a little bit higher. And what I mean by that, if you look at their overall record of 11-4, 10 of those games have been against teams with a losing record of 50% or lower. So they're 8-2 against those teams. They're 3-2 against the what I call the beatables, teams above 500, between 50 and 59.9, and they have yet to play a team with a 60 or higher win percentage. So, hey, this is their first test up against the Phillies, who are 5-1 at home. They got Taijuan Walker, and I think the bookmaker has the right price here on Taijuan and the Phillies, 120. I'm going to go Phillies over the Giants, and I hate doing it because Giants have been really good to me since the beginning of the season. They're 7-3 last 10. But their strength of schedule is something to be talked about, and I think they're in for a we'll get a real true test today, how the Giants do against a team with a 60 or higher win percentage, but I'm going with the Phillies and Taijuan Walker. All right, let's go to Tampa Bay, the Cash man, Kevin Cash. Man, I've been riding Kevin Cash and his teams for the last 2-3 years, and man, just like his name, we've made a lot of cash. Now, today, Shane Baugh is going to go here against Tanner Houck, and Huck is, let me see here, 0-1 on the year, 4.41 ERA. Where Shane Baugh is 1-0, 1.38 ERA. And we're going to give Tampa Bay a 50.9% chance of winning compared to 47.07 for the Boston Red Sox, who, didn't have a really great weekend. They finished off in style with a 3-1 victory over the White Sox yesterday, but 8-9 on the campaign. I know Alex Cora can be happy with that. 5-11-1 to the under, while Tampa Bay 7-8 as well, not a winning record. So two teams with a good series can get above 500 here. But I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Rays in this one. Tampa Bay 8 games against those C-type teams with losing record, and they're 6-2 against these teams, and they're playing at George Steinbrenner Field. Unfortunately for Tropicana's out of commission for a couple of months or maybe a year, but hopefully they can get that back because that's a great field. And yeah, I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, not the Lightning. Hey, the Lightning, that's another sport. But we're going to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's another sport as well. Tampa Bay Rays. How about that? Hey, let's go with the Tampa Bay Rays with Shane Baugh over Tanner Houck and the Boston Red Sox. little American League East division rivalry right there. And I think they're like 5-5 in the last 10. Boston is in Tampa Bay. All right, let's take a look at Kansas City against the New York Yankees. Kansas City going to send Seth Lugo against Carlos Carrasco to the hill against the Yankees. Now, the Bronx Bombers are 135 favorite in this one. 8.5 is your total. And I do like the Yankees in this one. I look at Kansas City. Hey, I like this Kansas City team. They're 8-8 on the campaign. Kansas City is that team that wins one, lose one. That's the pattern I've been recognizing with the Royals. It's like you got to bet like the zigzag theory. You got to bet them off a loss type thing. But they are coming off a win yesterday against Cleveland, so I'm going against the grain here. But the reason I'm going against Kansas City here, they don't do well in the Bronx. They're only 3-7 in the last 10 visits to New York. They're 2-4 on the road this season, so not 6-4 at Kauffman Stadium. The Yankees 5-4. And they're off a 5-4 loss to the Giants. So, anyways, going to go with the New York Yankees in this one over Kansas City. And let's see if we can go get that cash today. All right, hey, Toronto Blue Jays 9-7. What a comeback win yesterday. That was a gut check win for the Blue Jays yesterday. If you watch that game, they were down 6-3 in the middle of that game. And they had a really good rally. I believe it was the 7th or 8th inning to tie at 6-6. And then they won in extras. Hoffman was outstanding on the mound. And looking at today's starters, Grant Holmes against Easton Lucas. And he's 2-0 on the year, and he's yet to give up a home run or an ERA of 0 up against Grant Holmes, 0-1, 4.0 ERA. And these teams have a history of playing a lot of low-scoring games. In fact, Toronto at home this year, they do have a 5-11-0 overall. At home, I'd have to bring out the Raymond Report, and I can probably do that in 2 seconds. So let me go to Toronto and Atlanta. And this here is the Raymond Report. And again, if you sign up for a free 1-week trial, you get to kick the tires and check it out. And you can see right here the history between these two teams: 3-6-1 to the under. Atlanta's 2-8 at the old Rogers Skydome, okay, or the Rogers Center they call it now. But 5-11 for the Blue Jays this year. Their pitching's been all right. You know what? That was the question mark going in, because we know their bats are fine, but the pitching has been up to par. So I like the under in this game here today between the Atlanta Braves and Toronto Blue Jays. And let's see if we can go get that money right there. All right, let's talk about the New York Mets taking on the Minnesota Twins. Now, the Twinkies not having a great start to the year, 5-11. And Joe Ryan's going to toe the rubber today against Clay Holmes of the New York Mets. And when you look at the record for Joe Ryan, 1-1, 2.65 ERA. Clay Holmes, 1-1, 4.30 ERA. Last 2 games for both these teams have gone under the total. And the New York Mets, man, these guys are quietly the team in New York. Everybody, we talk about the Yankees, but the Mets, hey, how about those Mets? 10-5 on the season. And let me see here, just going to bring up their road record, 5-4, and they've had 9 games on the road. They're 3-1 against C-type teams. I'm going to go with the over here. I'm going to give a little bit of respect here to Joe Ryan and the Minnesota Twins. They're facing a very bullish team, and sometimes in sports betting, like when a team gets hot, like the New York Mets have won 8-2, it's like the old stock market, right? What goes up must come down, and you got a team that's 3-7 the last 10, and it's just from a market psychology point of view, it's so easy to get on this Met bandwagon at this point right now. It's like anything, like you're buying the top right now in the New York Mets, right? So I think you got to really slack the pedal a bit here, and you got to go, I think, with a total in this one. Unless you want to go with a little bit of a high-risk play with the Minnesota Twins. Yeah, I say high risk, but they're minus 115 favorite, and that's why I'm asking myself, what does the bookmaker know that I don't know, making the Twinkies a favorite in this one? So give me the over in the game today between the Mets and the Twins. All right, Detroit taking on the Milwaukee Brewers. You got Cy Young winner Tarek Skubal up against Tyler Alexander. We're going to give Detroit a 54.4% chance of winning. I have the bookmaker, not me, but the bookmaker has the Tigers a 160 favorite. 7's the total, so we got a touchdown total here today. And we do like Detroit, 3.9 to 3.40 over-under at 7.39. Skubal on the season right now is 1-2, a 3.78 ERA. Tyler Alexander, the lefty, southpaw today against Detroit, 1-0, a 2.84 ERA. Milwaukee off that loss to Arizona. They had a big win on Saturday night. I don't know if you watched that game. They were down 4-0 in the ninth. Came back to win that game 5-4. That was a great win for the Brew Crew. And they lost that game. Sorry, Arizona. It was a great win for Arizona. The Brew Crew gave up a 4-0 loss. The bullpen didn't hang on to that one. And, the Arizona came back to one. But, so they lost 2 again. So now they're on a 2-game losing streak. And it doesn't get any easier against Tarek Skubal. Now, Milwaukee at home this season are 5-2. And they're 0-3 against A-type teams. And, Tigers, 9-6 in the year. Give me Skubal and the Tigers at -160. Houston taking on the St. Louis Cardinals. Now, the Astros winning 7-3 yesterday against the LA Angels, man. Angels are a good team right now. You know, to me, the thing with the Angels is if Mike Trout goes, I think the team goes, right? And if Mike Trout doesn't go and he's all, hopefully he stays healthy, knock on wood, Angels could be one of those teams like under the radar value-wise that you keep betting, right? I got these teams in Major League Baseball that I find are the value teams that they're not the popular public teams. And I wrote that down this weekend. And the teams that I call like the value plays, San Francisco, the Cubbies, Detroit, Angels, Toronto, and Cincinnati. Watch out for Cincinnati. I really like what they've been doing. Miami and Kansas City. Those are teams that I like. Terry Francona at Cincinnati right now. Guy knows how to win, right? He just knows how to win baseball games. And keep an eye on Cincinnati. I think they could be a good value play going forward. All right, so St. Louis taking on Houston. You got Framber Valdez against Sonny Gray. Sonny. All right, let's take a look at the record here. 6-3 for the Cards. They're only 1-5 on the road. That's why a little puzzled here why the Cardinals are a home underdog with Sonny on the hill. Last 4 games for the Cards have gone under. They're off a big 7-0 win over the Phillies. That's never easy, right? And then Houston, a 7-3 win over the Halos yesterday. And, but I'm going to go Sonny Gray. I'm going to take the plus money. Give me St. Louis over Houston. Cubbies, big win last night on ESPN Sunday Night Game of the Week against the Dodgers. Jameson Taillon going up against Dylan Cease. Now, hey, San Diego's a great story right now. They're playing some great baseball. They're 10-0 at home. They're 0-2 against A-type teams. Most of their wins have been against teams with losing records. Okay, so just like another team we talked about earlier in the podcast. Which team was that? San Francisco. Yeah, so I don't know, those West Coast teams getting a softball schedule right now. But San Diego, yeah, not a big, heavy, front-loaded schedule against those teams with winning records. They're 10-0 at home at Petco, so watch out. And the Cubbies, hey, there's that value team I was talking about. You know the Cubbies have played 11 games against teams with a 60 or higher win percentage. They're 6-5 in those games. And they're 5-0 against the beatables, teams with losing records, and 0-2 against B-type teams with a 50 to 59.9 win percentage. But I'm going to go with the Cubs here. I'm going to take Jameson Taillon, the vet, against Dylan Cease, also a great pitcher. Hey, San Diego's on a 4-game win streak. They're 13-3 on the season, but don't look now. The Cubbies, even though they lost those first 2 games in the Tokyo series, they're doing really well. 11-7 on the year, 7-3. Hey, didn't they take 2 or 3 of the Dodgers, if I'm not mistaken? And, give me the Cubbies over the Padres, and let's go get that plus money. And finally, the Dodgers taking on the Colorado Rockies. You're going to need a house payment to make $100 on this one. -350 is the line. And you got Antonio Senzatella going up against Dustin May against the LA Dodgers. This is Dodgers all the way for me. 11-6 on the year. Probably pissed off they lost 2-3 to the Cubs. I think it was 2-3. But I do like LA. I wouldn't play LA -350 alone. I'd probably marry it with a parlay or something. Or if you like the total, maybe the over, I would probably look at. But Senzatella, let me see here. Senzatella is 0-2, a 5.14 ERA. Dustin May, 0-5, a 0.82 ERA. And you know what? I was trying to see. Maybe he's on a pitch count, right? 81 and 86 pitches last 2. We know he had I think it was a Tommy John surgery a couple years ago, and he's trying to get back and stay healthy, and we wish him the best. But maybe the over is where you want to go in this one. All right, Rain Report. This is the game matchup MBI, and I have a little thing here, a chart. Each and every day, I look at the market confidence of teams. And the A-type teams with a 60 or higher win percentage, San Diego, the market value is -240. What you do with this market value, you take this line right here and you compare it to the daily market value index of what their line should be, right? And today, the daily market value index on the Chicago Cubs is -165, but we have 199. But if you look at futures, and that's how I look at it, futures, they should be at 240, right? So they're overvalued. So I think that's why taking the Cubs here today, excellent value, excellent team. And look at that, Chicago right below. I had minus 130 as a daily market value index, and you're getting plus money on the Cubbies, so I do like that. Detroit, also 71 confidence level of the betting public. You see this column right here? We, from a market psychology point of view, what's the, like if I tell you San Diego right now, you're thinking the positive, right? You're thinking, hey, you know what, this team is off to a great start. They're undefeated at home. I got an 85% confidence level with them. If I think of Detroit, 71. If I think of Philly, 42 right now. That's because they're win one, lose one type thing. But when their confidence from the market psychology is low, that's when you pounce on these guys. This is where you get the value, right? So you look at the market confidence level. That's how I distinguish where you're getting the value sometimes. And this is a great chart to use to find value. Hey guys, you know what? ATS stats, I know it's analytics, but the more, I'm going in close to like 30 years of handicapping here, and you need a little bit of everything to come out with winners. You can't just rely on analytics. You got to trust your eyes. You got to self-scout. You got to have those under-the-radar type teams that you follow to follow the value. And I'm a real big guy on looking for value in teams, right? I go against these public teams that I know that are getting way too much respect, especially in big cities like, the Yankees. I find the Yankees are always overvalued. Which other team could be overvalued at a lot of times? Maybe the Cubs to an extent, but, the New York Mets, Philadelphia, the Dodgers, 100%. Dodgers are always overvalued. And then you look at these other teams down here. Cleveland, I think Cleveland sometimes get a little bit of an overvalue tag on them. But let me see, Texas, no, depends who's going for the pitching, right? I think a lot of time it goes with the pitching. And so this is a great chart to use to look for value. This is the Raymond Report. So when you come on in here and you go to your dashboard, and you'll go to MLB. So you go to your dashboard, you go to MLB, and then you pick the game of your liking. Let's say if we do like the Yankees today against Kansas City, and I'll tell you why I don't like Kansas City here today. You look at the record, 3-7 in the last 10 against the Yankees. The Yankees are 7-3 overall, either at Kauffman Stadium or at the Yankee Stadium. And here we do have more stats and trends on both these teams. And look at all the check marks that I have here on the New York Yankees. So that's one reason why I'm a little bit off the Royals. And the Royals, I feel like I've been betting the Royals one day on, one day off, right? The free stats page. And I do have a great system play here on the Tampa Bay Rays. Anytime you got to pick them, the 120 home favorite during the month of April, totals between 8.5 to 9. Coming off a 6-game homestand, they scored 8 or less runs for last game. The home team is 13-3 in their next game, and that pertains to the Tampa Bay Rays. All right, before you go, SBI time, the sports betting index, and you can see that 60% of the favorites won yesterday, 59.9 the last 3 days, and 54.7 neutral market right now in Major League Baseball favorites the last 7 days. On the season, it's 64%. 67% of the games went under yesterday. On the weekend, it went 49% to the under, 51 to the over. And if you're betting the run line, the last 7 days, you're smiling like a butcher's dog right now because the underdogs have won 60.4% of the run line the last 7 days. And the SBI is brought to you by atsstats.com. And again, folks, I'm going to leave a link in the description area. It's going to take you to the website. In fact, I'll show you what this description area looks like. I'm just going to bring it over here, and then I'll bring it to this page. And there we go. So what you do, I'll leave the link. You come over here, put in your name, your email address, username, password you want, country you're from, and just submit, and you will get a free 1-week membership. And then once you come here, you go my picks each and every day, which have been on and off. It wasn't a great weekend, but last week I did have a good week last week in my picks. And you click on dashboard, and this is where all the tools in the toolbox are. Click any of these buttons, and it's going to take you to the tools, and you will get to come and kick the tires and test it out. And if you're wondering, baseball and hockey, why I've been inactive, this time of year betting hockey and baseball is like betting preseason, right? It's just you don't know who's in the lineup. Teams that have made the playoffs are resting guys. It's not a really great time to bet NBA or NHL right now. I wait for the playoffs. And normally in playoff sports, that you make your money in the first week, in the first series, and then you sort of pick and choose your spots in the second, third round in the championship game. But I will have a video on my NHL report. Not so much NBA. I didn't follow the NBA a lot this year. I was more into the hockey and the NFL. But I will have, and normally anybody who knows me, my NHL picks pretty good over the last 30 years, because I know from the grind in the NHL, you got to pick a team, and I'll leave you guys on this. I always say in the NHL, the way you handicap the NHL is completely different than the regular season. The regular season, you handicap from forwards to the netminder. In the NHL playoffs, you go from back end out. You go the goalie, defense, to the forwards, and in the forwards, you got to look at the third and fourth line, because those are what we call our sandpaper players, right? Those are the players that bring that toughness, that edge in the playoffs. That don't mind mucking it out, and that's where you find your value. And I will have a video with that, probably Thursday, Friday, just before the playoffs go. All right, so if you're interested in my picks for today, you can get them at the website. But I gave you a good information on every game. And hopefully, I think St. Louis is a really good play here today. All right, enjoy the site, and I'll be back on a Ruby Tuesday. And also, let me know if you like this format. I know some people like the shorter videos, but sometimes I feel like, you know what, you gotta have more substance to your videos. You gotta give more meat on the bone type thing when you're doing these videos. So this way you have more information, and it allows me to talk more about sports handicapping and how I think, and how I see the game, and how I bet the game. And then I guess it's a platform to show and expand. But then you start babbling on like this, and then you don't know when to stop. All right, guys, I'll see you back here on another edition of the Raymond Report. Cheers.